Dan.
It's renovation.
And welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
Well, this week it's been hot.
Yeah, it's been gorgeous all week long, at least 30 degrees.
Yeah, and it's been sunny and we've had a little smattering of rain overnight. But, well, you can't knock it, can you?
No, it's just been delightful. We started the week on Saturday, going to Palamarza.
Yes, so we had a lovely day in Palamarza.
Yeah, caught up with some old friends, made some new ones. Thank you very much, Catherine, for the haggis.
Oh yes, I haven't eaten it yet.
No, he's saving it.
We're looking for the neeps. Can't find them anywhere. But they'll come.
They'll come, yeah, probably in November.
Probably.
But yeah, we had a lovely day over there.
Mm-hmm.
Bought lots of plants.
Yeah, she did. But coming back, the car maker started making a bit of a strange noise.
Yes.
Again.
The saga of our car.
Yes, I think it's something to do with the suspension on the passenger side, so I'm blaming Lenny.
So cheeky.
But we're hopefully getting it sorted next week, so it's not going to cause us serious disruptions, we don't think.
We hope.
Yeah,
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah. So we didn't want to risk the car by doing too many journeys and leaving the house too much. So it's giving us a chance to get on with the jobs here. Now we started our hallway last week. Well, this is how far we've got this week. This is how far we got at the end of last week. We've got the two side bits in place, levelled out, ready to go. This middle area has all been cleaned up, but what we have to do now is bring up the level so that we're not putting too much concrete down. So I'm going to get a load of aggregate, bring it up, put it in here, spread it out and give myself a good 2 to 3 inches of concrete to do on the top of it. Will give us a nice firm floor, but just won't be too much concrete. So that's all the gravel now levelled out so that we've got a nice base to put the concrete on. We also need to put rebar in to give it a bit of strength on top of the strength of the concrete. And we've got rebar grids, but we haven't got one that's quite big enough. So I'm going to have to join some together. That's not a problem. That's my next job. Once we've done that, we'll be ready to lay the concrete. That's the concrete floor after 2 days of drying. You can see it's beginning to change colour and lightening up. That'll continue over the next few weeks, but it is now a suitable surface for me to tile on top of once it's properly dried out. Now all the humans managed to stay off it and not leave footprints. Unfortunately the same can't be said for the cats. We have a few little paw prints, but they'll go under the tiles, so in years to come archaeologists will be able to find our cat's paw prints. The next job here in the hallway is the channeling in and making good of the wall. So we've got to remove the hooks and the board that they're on. That was temporary 2 years ago. Channel in, recess the cables, remove these switches and sockets, make good those bits so that we have a completed wall which is a socket and a plug at the bottom. So let's get on with that. So that's the channeling in done. Well, the channel's made, the cables recessed into the channel, held in place in the usual way with the nails underneath the level at which we're going to be skimming. All I've got to do now is get the MPI 25 out and cover them over. That's the channels filled as well as the holes where the socket and the plug were. It's had a couple of days now to dry out, so I can give it a sand and get it nice and smooth. I can also now recess the cups that hold the new light switch and the new socket, get those in the wall. I didn't want to do that before now because moving the cables would have interfered with the drying of the MPI 25 in the channels. So once that's done, I can move on to the next job, but that will be next week.
I spent a lot of time out in the garden, planting the plants I bought at Palo,
Yeah.
doing a bit of hedging. We trimmed another dead tree that had
Lots more trimming.
a lot started the swimming. Yeah. But we're probably halfway through round one.
Yes. we figure if we keep on top of it, it won't be too bad.
Yeah, that's the theory.
We
I'm
say
not
that
sure it
every
works
year.
in practice.
But we'll see.
It just has. All we need is a heavy shower of rain and it's suddenly grown another foot.
Yes, the hot weather encourages it. It's like being in an outdoor greenhouse.
Yes.
It just goes mad. So.
And mix that with a heavy shower of rain and it's off and running.
Something else we had to do this week was, we mentioned last week we're getting some visitors to our new spare room. Well, because we're having two at once, we were a bed short.
Yeah, so we managed to find one on Marketplace.
Well, Lynn did, yeah.
And in the process, made 2 new friends.
Yeah. So, hello, Andy and Linda, if you're watching.
We had a lovely time with you yesterday.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Popped in for a cup of tea and I think we stayed 6 hours.
Yes. But we have found out where there are 2 more outdoor markets.
Yeah, so we'll take you along to those when we go and visit them.
Yeah. So, brilliant day, thank you.
Yeah, we did have a lovely time. It was lovely to meet you both.
Yeah. Yes, something else I've been threatening you with is, I say threatening you with, is how we make ham. There's lots of different things that we do, chutneys, hams, jams, beer, all that sort of stuff. Well, this is my process for making ham. One of the reasons we came out to Bulgaria to live the lifestyle we live here was so that we would have time to do the things we wanted to do. So we could learn to cook, we could spend time gardening, that sort of thing. Now, we've learned how to make ham. Let me show you. This is the meat before I start. It's sold as Svinsky but bez kost, which is basically pork leg without bone. Now there's plenty of fat in there which will add to the flavour of the fat, but what we have to do is cure it. Now it's quite a simple process. I'll run you through it. The first part of the process is to make a brine to cure the pork. This is done with a combination of sugar and curing salt. You need 1% of the weight of the pork in sugar and 2% in salt. This gets mixed into 10% the weight of the meat in water, which gives you your brine solution. Basically you just mix the two together like so. It helps if the water's warm, it dissolves quicker. Give it a stir. Once the salt and sugar are dissolved into the water, you've made your brine. You now need to cool it in the fridge before injecting it into the pork. Now that the brine has cooled, we need to inject it into the meat. This is simply done with a syringe, which we fill up with brine. And inject into the meat. If you're using meat that's got the bone in it, it's best to try and inject it as close to the bone as possible. You're basically just trying to get as much brine into the meat. I've got it in a tray so that any that comes out of the meat will collect in the tray and we can bag up with the meat when we come to seal that in. The next stage is to put the pork into one of these vacuum sealing bags, add all your brine that's come out of the meat and any extra brine you've got left over, seal it in the bag. So that's what we'll do next. Now that that's sealed in the bag, we put it in the fridge, turning it every day for a week. Once we've done that, I'll show you the next step. So the ham has now had a week in the fridge, in the bag, being turned every day just to redistribute the brine around the joint of meat. It's time now to take it out the bag. So we'll just cut that open. Like so. Open the bag up. And what we need to do is basically just take the meat out and put it on a rack. That then gets dried with some paper towel, goes back into the fridge for 24 hours before we can cook it and turn it into our final ham. So there's the ham. It's now been dried for 48 hours. It could be 24 to 48 hours, just to basically get any of the surface moisture off. Sometimes when you roast it, the brine inside comes to the surface, which makes the surface taste a little bit salty. It doesn't affect the quality of the ham, and once you slice the ham you don't really taste it, but as an experiment on this one I'm going to honey glaze it, see what difference it makes. So I'll just spread some honey on it and then we'll cook it. So I'm ready to cook the ham. Now normally you do it in the oven or the pechka. Today the temperature is nearly 30 degrees centigrade, so I don't want to turn the oven on in the house or the pechka. So I'm using my smoker, this is my electric smoker. I'm not going to smoke the meat, I'm basically just using it as an oven. So it's going to go in there. I'll have an internal thermometer in so I know when it gets up to 75 degrees centigrade, which is the temperature I want the inside to be. And that'll be our ham cooked. So there it is, in the smoker. We now have to wait until it's fully cooked. Currently the internal temperature is 1 degree centigrade, so we may have a couple of hours, but we're in no hurry. It'll be done when it's done. So it's taken a good couple of hours, but we're now at the stage where the internal temperature of the ham is at 75 degrees centigrade, or Celsius. So it's time to take it out and let it cool. We'll also take a little sample off just to make sure it tastes like it's supposed to. So that's the ham, now completely roasted, cooked, just needs to cool down. Once it's cool we can slice it. But before we do that, time for me to test it. Oh yes. And here come the cats. So now you can see the ham is cooled, it's ready for slicing. We're going to slice most of it into very thin slices, but have some chunky stuff at the end. We're putting in a pasta bake, anything like that. But that's the next job, slicing the ham. And here we have the final result. On the left we have the thinly sliced ham, which is good for sandwiches, that sort of thing. And on the right we have the thickly sliced, which we'll put onto, like I say, a pasta bake or some other sort of dish like that. But that's how I make ham, and from now on we don't buy it anymore.
So we don't buy any store-bought ham or bacon anymore, and it's much nicer.
Oh yeah, and as you saw, it's not that tricky, so give it a go. You won't regret it.
No, you won't. Definitely not. Just ask Max.
Yeah. It doesn't last long. Like most of the Welsh cakes go quickest, in fairness. But all the stuff we make, now we've got time to make it, we found it's just so much nicer.
Yes, we've forgotten how good homemade food tastes.
Yeah. So I think that's brought you up to date with what we've done this week.
Yeah, I say we had a slow week due to not going out in the car anywhere. We didn't go anywhere for your birthday, but we will once we've got the car.
Yeah, we're resting the car.
We're resting the car until we get the suspension fixed properly.
So it's not that we didn't want to take you with us, we haven't been.
Yeah.
But when we go, you can come along.
Yeah, as Adam said, I think that's about it.
I think it is. So
we're back out to the garden.
Enjoying the lovely weather. And I've got stuff to do inside. So. But until next week, it's time to say...
Stay safe.
Be well.
Doskoro.
Doskoro.